Hey everybody, this is Deborah Richmond, and I want to thank you for joining me. We're going to be talking about the quilt behind me today, but we're not going to be talking about how to make the quilt top. So this time, we're going to be talking about the quilting itself. Now, I've been a quilter for 30 years, and up until now, all of the quilts I've made, I have quilted by hand. That's because that's how I learned how to do it in the beginning, and I really, really love hand quilting. So, even though I really love hand quilting and that's what I usually do, I decided it was time for me to learn how to machine quilt. And so what you're seeing behind me today is the first quilt that I've attempted to machine quilt. I took a class a few weeks ago to learn some of the basics, and I really, really liked it. So let me show you a little bit about the quilting on this quilt. Okay, so we've come in a little bit closer so that I can show you a little bit more close-up of the quilting on this quilt itself. Now, what I can tell you is that I, number one, fell in love with machine quilting, and I really didn't think that I would. Like I said, this is something brand new for me. I didn't know. It looks difficult to do. I purposely tried a very small baby quilt for my first project on the machine because I know that as I learn new things, I will get better every time I do it. When I first started hand quilting, I was not great at it to begin with, and after many years, I became much better. So I know the same thing's going to happen here. This is an all-over pattern that I used on this baby quilt. The size of the quilt made a big difference, I think, because it allowed me to have something that moves around easily on my machine. I am still learning how to work with the quilt when it's on the machine. But something I want to talk to you specifically about hand quilting or machine quilting is something that made my first projects really successful was the thread that I use. So let's talk about thread. So as I said, one of the reasons that I think that the project has been so successful for me has been the thread that I was using. Now, there was a company that sent me some thread, and that's the thread that I use that I want to talk about. The company is called Fil-Tec Bobbin Central, and they sent me several different types of thread that they make, and one of them is a polyester thread. This is the thread that I tried. Now, when they sent me thread, they sent me some cottons and polyesters, and I wasn't sure about using polyester because I've always used cotton thread with my cotton quilt. That's the way I learned to do it so many years ago, and it's just I've never had a reason to question that rule. But now I have, and so I did some research to find out, is polyester a good thread to use? What I found out was that polyester is a good choice for machine quilting. Now, when you're piecing a quilt, some people still think you should stick with cotton because polyester can break under very high heat. And so for piecing, we do a lot of pressing, and so some people say let's stick to cotton for piecing. However, for machine applique, where you're going to be putting a lot of stitches, or machine quilting, you're going to put a lot of stitches on your quilt, polyester is a good choice for several reasons. One is that it is stronger. It is less likely to break because of its strength. Polyester fibers are stronger than the cotton threads, and so when you are machine quilting, it can be very tedious if you continue to break threads frequently. So this is nice if you have something stronger, it's not going to break as frequently, and I found that to be the case. Other people had threads that were breaking. When I was taking the class, mine just kept moving right along, which was really nice. Another feature of polyester is that you have less thread lint. So if you, when you're doing sewing, you'll notice you get lint built up onto your needle. That's going to be, it's not going to be the case with polyester, and I did notice that there was not nearly as much lint as usual. So that's good for your machine. One of the other reasons, though, that I really liked polyester was because polyester has a shine to it. Now, at first, when I'm looking at the threads, I could see they were shiny, the polyester threads. I wasn't sure if that was going to be something that I would want. So I used this polyester thread and tried it out in the quilting class. And I actually had the teacher, instructor came over and took a look, and she actually asked me what thread I was using because she thought it looked really nice, and it did look really nice. I was using a cream cotton fabric and then using this cream polyester thread on top of it, and it had just a nice sheen to it. It wasn't too shiny, but it did show the pattern off really nicely. So that is why I am really liking this polyester thread. This one is called Glide, and I will have instructions below on how you can order it from the company. There's a lot of thread comes on a spool. I've done lots and lots of quilting already, and I still have a lot of thread left, so it's a good value. Now let me tell you the other thing that they also sent me. The company sent me, these are pre-wound bobbins. Now I've never bought pre-wound bobbins before. I just wind my own so that I have a matching thread and bobbin. But I thought I'd give it a try since they sent them to me. and I love them, absolutely love them, and I highly recommend them. You get them in a clear tube like this. This is the same thread, the Glide thread, in the same color as the spool so that everything matches. I like that it comes in this tube. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them in a tube. I like that because you can see the color really easily. So these bobbins, one of the first things I noticed right away, of course, was I didn't have to wind them. That's nice and convenient. But the other thing that I realized very quickly was that they don't run out nearly as quickly as the bobbins that I use when I wind my own bobbin. And so I did a little bit of research just to find out. I don't know how much thread is on a bobbin when I wind it, but there are 72 yards of this Glide thread on these bobbins, and so I just sewed and sewed and sewed and sewed and sewed, and I just did, it just seemed like I never needed to change that bobbin. It was fantastic. It took a much longer time to run out. I also think that it's possible that the pre-wound bobbins are wound at a faster rate than on our personal machines, our domestic machines, and I think that that might be one of the reasons why this thread worked so well in my machine. Tension seemed to be just nice and even. I didn't have any problems with tension because of the thread, and I know that some of that's because if you use the same thread on top and your bobbin and your top, you will have less tension issues. But also, I think that probably because they wind them faster, that's probably how they get more thread on their bobbins, and also that's going to be a much more even tension coming off that bobbin. So this is just my feeling, but this was nice thread to use, and I definitely will be ordering some more of this Glide Polyester Thread from this company, Fil-Tec Bobbin Central. So thanks for joining me.
And be sure to subscribe to our channel. You can do so here by clicking the subscribe button. That way you'll find out about new videos as they become available.
The quilt top.